Typography. Typography is the visual component of the written word. Typography is the art and technique of arranging type to make written language legible, readable, and appealing when displayed. Mainly three types of fonts: serif fonts, sans serif fonts, and display fonts. First is serif font. Serif font is the head with a slight stroke on the outside. As you can see in this screen, like this font is just a serif font in which a small stroke is coming in the end. Stroke is coming down in R, stroke is coming down in I, stroke is coming down in F. These fonts are serif fonts. Second is sans serif fonts. Only fonts are those in which they do not have extra strokes. Sans serif fonts only fonts are those in which they do not have extra strokes. They are without serif fonts. So that's why we call him a serif fonts. These are the differences in this. Serif versus sans serif. Serif fonts have strokes and sans serifs do not have those strokes. As you have seen, Times New Roman is our serif font, Arial Verdana is our sans serif fonts. And third is display fonts. Display fonts are those, there are many styles like script, black letter, all caps, or some fancy fonts. All these fall under the category of our display fonts. Leading. The spacing between the lines is called leading. We can also call it line spacing. Our leading space from one font to another is called our leading. As you can see here, the space between the fonts from one font to another is called our leading and the line spacing. Tracking. Tracking is the spacing between our characters. We say tracking. The style of this method we will see in a heading in a button where we increase the spacing of the fonts a little bit and give a little tracking in it. Kerning. Kerning our spacing between a specific character is called kerning. It is not at all like tracking. There is a separate spacing between each of the characters. We call it kerning. As you can see in this font, there is a different spacing inside each character. But the readability of the font is very good. We are able to read it very easily. And this is our bad kerning. There is a different spacing between each character, but we are not able to read it. So it is called bad kerning. Typeface. Typefaces are different fonts of the same font family, like Helvetica Ultralight, Helvetica Thin, Light, Roman, Medium, Bold, Heavy, and Black. These are all different typefaces of a font family. Baseline, where your small letter and capital letter end, we are called baseline. Cap height. Each typeface has a different cap height, which is the height at the top of your capital letter. We call it cap height. X height. X height is the height which is the height at the top of the small letter. We call it X height. Ascender and descender. Ascender line, which is the top line of your letter. We can also call it as the present line and the top line. And the descender line is the bottom line of your letter. So it's our descender line and base line. Weight. Each font has its own weight, its own distinct thickness like light, regular, medium, bold. As you can see in this screen, each font has a different thickness, its own weight, its own different stroke. Line length. Line length for body text. If you are designing for a desktop, then your length should be a 40 to 60 characters. If you have content inside a line, it is ideal for readability. You must have read a lot your blogs, articles. If you notice that all the articles or blogs are there, they keep their article width is less. That allow the users to read the content easily. If the width of the content of that screen is large, then there will be a lot of problems in the reading to the user. His eye will go left to the right in such a long screen. He might even forget. Perhaps he has finished with the last line and has started from where. If the line length of your content is small, 40 to 60 characters within, so any user will be able to read it. He will not have to move his eyes much. He will remember where he has read the last line and where to start it. So that's why when you are designing something where you only have to see the content in the whole page, so keep it in the 40 to 60 characters so that any user can read it very easily. Line length for short length content. If you are writing any short length content that will come in only 1 to 2 lines, then for that you use 20 to 40 characters per line. Line height. If your font size is 14 pixels, then your line height can be 20 pixels. Or your font size is 20 pixels, then you can keep its line height 28 pixels. The line height is the more we use mainly so that the user is easy to read. Paragraph spacing. Keep paragraph spacing in the range between 0.75x and 1.25x of the type size. If your type size is 20 pixel, then you can make its line height is 30 pixel. And for paragraph spacing, you can keep 28 pixels. What is more clear? A and B. This was first one. Because the typography that has been done in it is very clean. It is very clear. We are able to read it very easily. That's why we use typography. Our purpose is that whatever font we are using, user can read it very easily. If you can read it, that's why you should use the font in a way that the user can read very easily, which can be read. Don't use fonts of this way that look good to see but are not friendly to the user in the reading. Fonts to avoid. Fonts of this type don't use at all, making any mobile application or web application. These types of fonts are mainly using in printing. Anatomy of a typeface.